Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We got a poll of opinion coming from University of Chicago, conducted by the University of Chicago Harris School of Public Policy. And they are going to tell us a few things about what the American public thinks about the continued support provided to Ukraine by their taxes. And it's I would say, major decrease in support according to the poll. So let's see what these guys are saying. Sorry to bring the news from Russia today, but hey, obviously they will publicize this, right? This article comes from 24th of May 2023. US public sours on anti-Russia sanctions. A news poll has shown that fewer Americans favor punishing Moscow over the Ukraine crisis and sending weapons to Kiev. American public support for President Joe Biden's policies of sanctioning Russia over the Ukraine crisis and sending billions of dollars worth of military aid to Kiev is dropping as the bloody conflict drags on into its 16th month, a news poll has revealed. Conducted by University of Chicago Harris School of Public Policy and Researcher NORC, the poll was released on yesterday, and found that 58% of Americans support imposing economic sanctions against Russia. Now, 58 is a lot, but it's down from 71% a year ago. So, that's not okay, right? That's a lot, I would say. Just 50% of the US adults still favor sending weapons to Ukraine, compared with 61% in May 2022. The results come amid growing public doubts as to whether Ukraine can win the conflict and concern that the crisis could escalate into a direct US-Russia war. Republican lawmakers, including Senators Rand Paul and Mike Lee, have called the conflict a, and I'm quoting, proxy war, and vowed to vote against any additional aid packages until Biden offers a clear diplomatic strategy to end the fighting. Well, I'm going to give you a diplomatic that's going to stretch on 300 years. But vote for this one. I'm going to give you a clear one for 300 years. Now you vote for me. A February poll by Rasmussen reports showed that only 21% of Americans believe Ukraine can prevail against Russia, down from 32% 2 months earlier. Just 26% of the US adults believe their government should play a, and I'm quoting, major role in the crisis, down from 40%. So 26 from 40%, it's slashed in half almost. In March 2022, the University of Chicago NORC poll found Washington has allocated $113 billion in military and economic aid to Kiev. That will go to hell, my friends. Will go to nothing. We're not going to see anything but destruction. The Russians will not lose. The Ukrainians will not win. A lot of people will die, a lot of destruction, a lot of companies will make a lot of profits. Some military leaders, generals, will feel important for some time. The politicians will be happy that they fed the beast, and we're gonna have to pay that money and inflation and all that, instead of, building some freaking roads in this country. So, including more than $37 billion in weaponry that has already been provided. Meanwhile, Biden has led an international sanctions campaign against Moscow, seeking to isolate and crush the Russian economy. With no success, I might add. However, the sanctions have failed to cut off Russian energy exports and have contributed to historically high inflation rates in Western nations. Russia's current account surplus doubled to a record $227 billion last year. The new poll found that 36% of Americans believe that both Russia and Ukraine have committed war crimes during the conflict, while 54% think Moscow alone is guilty. 7 in 10 adults and US say Russia's actions are an unjustified attempt to gain territory. Although 77% of US adults have an unfavorable view of Russian President Vladimir Putin, just 17% feel the same way about the Russian people, according to the University of Chicago NORC study. Half of Americans have a favorable view of the Russian people. Only 10% of the survey respondents said they would be uncomfortable being friends with a Russian person. Now that's idiotic. Uncomfortable being with that. All right. So this obviously comes from Russia Today, and with all that, we just take the numbers over there, probably with a margin of error of what, 3%, let's say. But still, the number is high in many departments. That means the mass media, the corporate media is still doing a great job. But it's okay. You know, it's not only that the mass media, they can use propaganda like they all use. The Russians use, the Ukrainians use, the Americans, the French. That's how it goes. The problem is it depends on the population. So believe me, those guys are very well trained in propaganda, okay? It's called opinion forming. And they have psychological ways to employ techniques in order to provide us with this or that, ignoring this, adding that, you know. So it's up to us to educate and discipline our brains in smelling where these things are coming from and how they try to manipulate us. But we will always be manipulated if we don't know the issue. Okay, if we don't know that these are eyeglasses and we think they're objects, all right, that's all we know about this. They're object. It's an object. They can tell us this. You can scratch your butt with. Let me try. I'm just kidding. So see, they can say, oh, this is actually it's a tool, an object that you scratch your butt, and they will repeat it over and over. They're gonna have experts coming and telling you, actually, that's what it is, and you're gonna believe it. If you never learned or studied to see these are glasses, oh yeah, Gigi, how are you? Hello, let me scratch. Anyway, so see, the same is with the mass media. They can tell you a lot of things, but if you know anything about the issue, if you inform yourself, you memorize, you pay attention, and you create patterns, they cannot fuck with you too much or not enough, you know, to be an idiot, and they can maneuver you however they want to maneuver you. Those are not experts, how should I put it, geniuses. They work in there, you know, they go to the certain kind of schools of journalism and so on. But after all, you deal with people, and I don't want to insult anybody, about what, 27 years old, 32, 35. Those guys, you talk to a person who has, let's say, is 50, 55, 60, you cannot be fooled by those guys. You must have been around the block a few times. If you didn't read something, your life experience must negate whatever those tell you that this is for your butt scratching, this object, okay? You must know this. It's not complicated. If you watch that and you paid attention, you realize these guys were telling the same, using the same techniques about the same crisis. The same way they did with Saddam Hussein. That's a class, that's a 101 class, and it's still available. You can read, you can look at the chronology of events. They use the same techniques of demonizing that guy, which was a bad dude, but it's not for you to decide if he has to go or not. It's not for you to decide that that country needs democracy. No, it's not. Otherwise, they can decide that you don't need democracy. You need their system. Or, you know, if you can impose on them, why can't they impose on you? Unless you think you're the best, you're good, and everybody should follow you. Nobody appointed you in that position but yourself. And you don't lead by arguments, you lead by missiles. So you should have seen this. Remember when they were talking about that, I was laughing my ass off when they said about the Saddam Hussein's war machine. I thought I was rolling on the carpet. When they were telling Saddam Hussein's war machine, I was, oh my God, rusty equipment, 20 million people population, desert, flatlands, a little bit of here and there. Jesus Christ, what are you talking about? That was an easy prey right there. And then you see all the generals and, yeah, I'm on this and that. Okay, well, good, good. Anyway, my friends, don't let yourself fooled by this guy by reading, as I said, memorizing, going deeper into the issue, looking at the patterns, and you're going to see the same techniques, shaming the people who have a different opinion or take on the narrative, always like that. And you're accused of supporting the enemy and so on. Always work like that. Do you think this works differently? And another thing is the trust. People still trust the ones that tell you to trust them. And they give you all the information. They come in front of you from a podium and they tell you. Those guys lied, are lying, and will lie. Why? Because these people over there, do you think they're better than you and I? I don't think so whatsoever. Listen to them. I mean, you're not 12, are you? You can watch this if you're 12 anyway. Because I checked over there a setting that that's not for children. Okay? Because you don't have to. Let them educate your children. By the time they get adults, they will tell you war machine of whomever they tell me. That's what they do with the school. They regiment the youth. That's why give me the youth, give me the children. You know, when Jesus said, "Give me the children," there was another guy in the 30s and early 40s. I said, "Give me the children." Why? Because once you do that, the children will become adults. So if you model them as children with ideology, it's going to be very hard for them to escape the plantation, the cage they were mentally brought in. They were caged in. It's very hard. And now I'm going to take with the religion the same. When you have these schools and Sunday schools and so on, well, that's fine. But on the other hand, that's the parents' job to, teach the children. That's their 100%, nothing against that. But I'm just giving an example. It's going to be hard for a person going from there unless something traumatic happened to break away. It's harder, it's harder. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just an example. With repetition, the children see the authority figure. And seeing the authority figure like a doctor, a teacher, a trainer, a clergyman, very authority. If the authority tells you to do this, you're going to do it because you don't know if it's right or wrong. What is this object used for? You got it. All right. Now we know it. All right, my friends. So here we have this little article with the opinion poll, and there's a lot of them. I mean, look, if a population, I'm talking like Biden now, look, Jesus Christ. I hope I don't reason like him. Or anyway, remember a population has in the West here, let's say around 100. Intelligence coefficient is 100, let's say, about. So you must have a lot of people that are below that. Below 86 IQ, you're considered clinically, you know what I mean? So just look at it, look at the distribution, at the bell curve. Got a big book over there. Okay, look at that, read not only that, and you look how many people must be below 86. What do you do with those 86% IQ? What do you do with those people? They have to work, they have to function. But that's reality, my friends. I'm not picking on people or anything like that. It's just that we have to educate ourselves. That's my point in all this. Best to our abilities. I mean, certain things we can't understand. I can't understand something. I'm trying. I have my limitations. I don't understand it. I'm going to ask someone to explain it to me. Give me some analogies. Give me some examples. And maybe I get it. But if I can't, I can't. And that's it. What I said is not hard. Okay? Look for them, see the patterns, and repetition. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart. Look for the truth, and be just.